Okay, so yesterday we did Hilchos Talmud Torah Gimel Yud Beis, the third paragraph, the three clauses here, and we did the second. We really figured out the second two. Let's review it again, and then we'll say what we're doing for today. So, Amru Chachamim Bris Krusa Shekol Hayageva Talmud Beis HaKnesses Lobim Herahu Meshakeach. The Chachamim said that covenant has been sealed that anyone who exerts himself in his learning in a shul, not a Beis Midrash, he will not forget quickly. And anyone who exerts himself in his learning in with modesty will become wise. As it says, with those who are modest is wisdom. And anyone who makes his learning audible, his voice audible when he's learning, his learning will persist in his hand. But one who reads quietly, he will forget. So we really figured out pretty much the second two. We said that modesty thing has to do with a certain type of, the opposite of modesty is a certain type of self-assertiveness where you're defining yourself based on how other people view you. And tsunua means you don't define yourself based on how other people view you. That we got from Mishlei, from that pasuk in Mishlei. And we said that is essential for. So we said that it means attracting attention to yourself as being a chacham, basically, being show-offy. The most overt form is like what Rabbi Yonah mentioned, is like being show-offy in terms of your knowledge. But it could even be something as subtle as that, like being seen with a ton of svarim around you, and or doing things that are associated with Talmid Chachamim, like doing it on purpose. Yeah. And we did mention though that you do have to balance that with the idea of a lo lishma, that you can't prematurely undo your lo lishma. In other words, the primary thing has to be what's going to be best for your learning. And so if having the self-image of a Talmid Chacham is good for your learning, or is if your learning is dependent on that, then by all means do that. But but this is something to keep in mind. And then we said the third clause is the easiest one to understand, that basically the more senses you can get involved in what you're doing, then the more energy is going to be tied to that, and also the less distracted you're going to be. And so that's why it's a matter of forgetting or staying with you, the more energy you invest in it. But then the first one we had difficulty with, right? Because we said, what's the bris krusa? What does it mean that there's a covenant? And we said that the only other time the Rambam uses that in this way is with people who abuse the poor. God has a covenant with the poor people that when they cry out to him, he'll answer. So that seems like a really monumental, like fundamental hashgachic type thing, as opposed to just a natural result of like environment, which this seems like. Secondly, we said, what does a yagea b'talmuda mean? And then why Beis HaKnesses? If any place you should learn the Beis Midrash, and he definitely means Beis HaKnesses here. And then what does it mean you won't forget quickly, right? It doesn't mean that it's like magically going to keep your learning up, keep your memory from forgetting anything, but it just means you won't forget as quickly. So I took one step last time, which was that that we went to the Sefer Mitzvos. Oh, I forgot to put that in the show, in the description. We went to Sefer Mitzvos Mitzvah Hey, which is about avodah shebalev, which primarily is Tefilah, but also is Talmud Torah. So my step was to say that the Beis HaKnesses is a makam of avodah shebalev, and therefore the reason why you're learning there is not because of the Tefilah per se, but it's because of the avodah shebalev dimension of your Talmud Torah. But I didn't get further than that yesterday. So we said that was an idea, that was a possibility for an approach. Okay. So then at the end of Shir, Oren wisely proposed that we look and see what the Rambam says about Bate Knesios. And we do that. And so I think what the plan for today is, good to do this anyway. And in fact, this morning, I saw Rabbi Cinnamon ask someone to sweep up some of the leaves on the floor. And I was thinking, oh, that's a mitzvah. I wonder, I should look that up in the Rambam. And I realized that it's going to be in these things that we see today. So we might do some actual real Bekius today, just to get a picture of what the Rambam thinks of the Beis Knesses. But before we do that, I want to read one thing from the Rav, just to supplement what I said yesterday. And this was from, again, so this is from this book, Blessings and Thanksgiving. It's I think it's based on his shiurim. He didn't write it himself. So the second to the last one is called the Synagogue as an Institution and as an Idea. And he did make an interesting point. I mean, he made a lot of interesting points, but so he quoted this Gemara in Shabbos 32a that says, Rabbi Ishmael, the son of Elazar, said, there are two reasons why ignorant people do not live long and their lifespan is shortened. Because they call the Aron HaKodesh, the Holy Ark, Arna, an ark, and also because they call the Beis HaKnesses Beis Am. Okay, so he says, I can understand why calling the Aron HaKodesh just Aron, like a cabinet, is a degrading thing. Like you're erasing the term Kedusha and you're just calling it that. But Beis HaKnesses means a gathering place, and Beis Am is a place of people. So like, what's the deal? So he goes through a bunch of stuff, but then the last thing I want to mention here, which again, I'm not saying that this is from the Rambam, but I do sense that like that this might help us when we read the Rambam here. So I'm just going to read this little excerpt here. So he says that first he proves that when we say tzibor, we don't just mean a minyan. It's not just synonymous with a minyan. He brings, again, you read the essay if you want the whole thing. He's really talking about like a representative of Klal Yisrael as a whole. You know, like that's the basic idea of a minyan, right? It's like it's a representative of the entire Am. And then when he talks about shuls, he says, and this is again typical Rav speaking poetically. Okay, he says, and this is the very last thing in the essay. He says, let me add another thought. When we pronounce the term Knesset Yisrael, we refer not only to a multitude consisting of 13 million people, our contemporaries, Ken Yerubu, but to a mystical entity or individuality. Knesset Yisrael, the way Nachmanides and other mystics, the classical Balei HaKabbalah understood the term, is not just a conglomeration of people. It is not just a crowd. It is more than that. It is a separate entity, a living individuality provided with an I awareness. I, like the letter I. Okay, never thought I'd be talking about Kabbalists and Rambam Bekius here, but the Kabbalists spoke about the invisible Knesset Yisrael. There is a visible Knesset Yisrael, which consists of contemporaries of 13 million people now, and there is an invisible Knesset Yisrael, which embraces not only contemporaries, but every Jew who has ever lived. It includes all those whose names have been immortalized and made unforgettable, as well as all those Jews who lived in anonymity, who died silently and were buried in unmarked graves without leaving a single memory, without leaving a single footprint on the shifting sands of human destiny. All of them, great or small, big or little, are part and parcel of that invisible Knesset Yisrael, which is represented, and to be more exact, impersonated by the minyan of 10 old, frail, sickly people. And he says basically that, and then he just ends last paragraph of the essay. We asked above about why the halacha is so meticulous regarding the name Beit HaKnesset. What is wrong with Beit Am? Did our sages say that it is, why did our sages say it is a serious offense to substitute Beit Am for Beit HaKnesset? The answer is now simple. The Beit HaKnesset is the home of the great, invisible Knesset Yisrael, which cuts through all ages and millennia. A Beit Am is just a house for contemporaries. However, to pray with contemporaries is not enough. One must pray with the entire covenantal community, which is present in the Beit HaKnesset, and the sanctity of the Beit HaKnesset is due to that mysterium tremendum. The latter suspends all three time dimensions. The past is not gone yet. The future has already arrived. And we, the 10 people, the minyan who live in the present, unite both past and future. A Beit HaKnesset is the home of prayer, as was pointed out above, because it is the home of the great Knesset Yisrael. And ipso facto, the home of the Almighty has a rendezvous with the Knesset Yisrael. So again, I'm not saying that those ideas are all in the Rambam, but you'll see when we go through the Rambam that it does seem like this is Beis HaKnesset is not just a thing of like having a minyan. And it's also not just a thing of like where the people in the town gather. There is an idea of a Knesset Yisrael, and we do use that term about like the entire community of Klal Yisrael, like, you know, in the present. We also say Am Yisrael, right? That's true.
I don't know that.
Yeah, so you'll read the essay if you want to find the full thing. But it is blessings and Thanksgiving. I don't think Yeshiva has a copy. I don't know.
Actually, it's the concept of Klal. I associate even more with Am than with Knesset.
Yeah.
Maybe, but Chazal use the term Knesset Yisrael a lot, you know.
So can you say Am Yisrael and then Yisrael?
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, I don't know. We can debate it, and we can take a survey. Yeah. Look, it's what the Rab says. You can argue with the Rab if you want, not with me. Okay. Yeah. Okay, so now let's look. So the plan is going to be like this. Okay, the plan is going to be to try to do actual Bekius. Okay, but just because that's the goal is to get the hold on, I just closed it. Wait, Rambam. So we're going to start with Hilchos Tefilah, which I don't have printouts. Hilchos Tefilah, Perek Ches, where he's not yet talking about the Beis HaKnesses, but he's talking about Tefilah B'tzibor. And the first three halachos are relevant, and the third one is going to be ironic. Okay, just a little spoiler alert. Sefer Ahava, second section. Yeah. Yeah. So Perek Ches halacha aleph. Okay. Yep. Sefer Ahava.
When was it open?
Hilchos Tefilah, which is after Kriyat Shema. Perek Ches halacha aleph. Okay. Tefilah Tzibor Nishmas Tamid. So the Tefilah of the community is heard always. Even if there are sinners among them. God does not despise the Tefilah of the masses, of the many. And therefore a person needs to join himself to the congregation and not daven alone as long as he can daven with the tzibor. Now, up until now, we're not talking about the Beis HaKnesses. Now he transitions. Person should always get up early and stay late at the Beis HaKnesses. Because the tefillah of a person is only heard at all times in the Beis HaKnesses. So I think this is shot, by the way. In fact, Rabbi Makbili agrees with me that this is even the tefillah of a yachid in the Beis HaKnesses is heard. Rabbi Makbili says, "B'chol eis, klomer gam kashim tefillas hayachid." Okay, and then he says, "B'chol mi sheyesh lo Beis HaKnesses be'iro ve'eno nichnas letocha lehispala nikra shachin ra." Anyone who has a shul in his city and doesn't go into it to daven is called a bad neighbor. Okay. So it is weird how he combines tefillas hatzibur, meaning with a minyan, and then also davening b'yachidus in the Beis HaKnesses, and then an individual coming early and staying late in the Beis HaKnesses, which presumably is not you're davening late; it's that you're just hanging out in the Beis HaKnesses, like the Chassidim, right? Exactly. Yeah. Okay. So then he says mitzvah. So I quoted this in my Devar Torah 2 weeks ago. Mitzvah larutz the Beis HaKnesses shneimar v'neida'a nir tefal lada'as as Hashem. It is a mitzvah to run to the Beis HaKnesses, as it is stated. Let us know, let us chase after knowledge of Hashem. So that is the idea that tefillah is somehow a form of Yedias Hashem. Okay, that's its own exploration. And when a person leaves the Beis HaKnesses, al yifsa psia gasa, he shouldn't take big steps. Ela yelech ma'ad ma'ad. He should take very small steps, presumably to well, okay. There's two things, right? One is big steps means like you're like leaping and bounding outside of the Beis HaKnesses. You know, that's like the Rav Makbili says, psia gasa kimemaher lates, like you want to leave quickly. The other thing, what is psia gasa? You know what else psia gasa is associated with? I think we did this last year in Deos, maybe. Yifsa psia gasa. That it's, I think it's haughtiness. Okay, so in which case, slowly could either mean davka slowly, like you're reluctant to go, or it can mean like, you know, yeah, Deos, yeah. What was that?
Right.
Yeah, right. How you walk, right? How Talmud Chacham walks. Because you kind of Beis HaKnesses, you kind of shir shnei pesachim be'achar kakis palo, l'kaim mezuzos pesachai, lishmar mezuzos pesachai. And when you enter into the Beis HaKnesses to daven, you should enter two. Okay, plain pshat. This is a machlokes rishonim, two entrance lengths. Okay, there are some who say it means like the amount of time it takes to like enter and get in a certain amount into the Beis HaKnesses, but I think the Rambam means distances, and that is l'kayim, to fulfill the pasuk in Mishlei, to guard or be vigilant on the doorpost of my house. Okay, now here's the ironic halacha. Beis HaMidrash gadol mi Beis HaKnesses. Okay, we said that last time. V'chachamim, so it's greater. V'chachamim gedolim afal pi shehaya lahem be'iram bate knesios harbe lo hayu mispalim ela b'makom shayu oskim b'Torah. The only place that they were, even though they had lots of shuls in their city, they would only daven in the place where they were osik b'Torah. V'hushi is palosham tefilah satzibor. That's the daven there in the tefilah satzibor. So the irony is the Rambam says in Talmud Torah that if you want your learning to not be forgotten, you should learn in the Beis HaKnesses. But the great Talmid Chachamim would daven in the Beis Midrash. So you end up, if you want to do everything, you end up like using each one for the opposite purpose. Isn't that funny?
The point is have to be the same.
Well, that I was thinking that it is funny how it seems like the big style now. I assume this is a big style in yeshivas, right? Is that Beis HaKnesses is the Beis Midrash, you know, like yeah. I mean that's definitely what we do here. But I mean, let's say like in you know, I think in why actually I don't know.
I mean, the Quran is not in the line, so it just happens for words.
Right. That's true. Yeah.
Of course, at the same time, I do like most places all top bunches farm on the shelf. But
Right, but that's
it's just also thinking they usually even they have many shelves which on the shelf look like where they'll have shelves as farm in their basically nothing.
yeah, but that's not the same thing as a Beis Midrash, though.
I think what I'm going to say that like the most at the very least you almost always find Minyana in a base matter.
Right. Yeah. Right. Here, though, it literally is the same place. Right. Yeah. So that makes it easier for us. Yeah.
If you say that really strictly in the base matter, that like only the Talmud Chachamim.
Sounds like Talmid Chachamim, right? Or Chachamim Gedolim, actually, not even Talmid Chachamim. Yeah, that is also true. Right. Yeah.
The Talmud is the optimal place for both things.
Yeah.
For Tefilah and for Talmud.
Well, right, except for the one that we read in except for the bris, right?
Yeah, I mean, you say that it's not hard, obviously, something better.
No, I mean, if he, I mean, that is predicated on the fact that basic Knesset is a different place, right?
Well, I was saying maybe it's about the file.
He never says that in all these halachos. Like, I mean, especially here, right? It's bigger. Or it's God. Yeah.
No, so if you learn Torah, then we'll be forgotten in the halacha.
Say it again. Say the Kavakom again.
We see over here that if I mention they don't only use that.
Right.
So in the Torah, when you say that your learning will be slowly forgotten.
Right.
Halacha is if I mention don't only won't be forgotten.
I'm not comfortable without Kal V'chomer. I hear what you're saying. You're saying because, so you're saying. Yeah, right. The only thing though is like the default assumption in Hilchos Talmud Torah is that you would be learning in Beis Midrash. So the very fact that he goes out of his way to say that if you learn in a Beis Knesses, that's the bris. I assume he means dafka the Beis Knesses. I don't think he can mean the Beis Midrash. I don't think he can make the call. If you said what?
If you only said it's a matter, then you want to know it's method.
Yeah, I don't know. That sounds like couple gymnastics to me. Yeah. All right.
It seems more compelling than to say that it's not hot on the switch.
Yeah, that's a problem also. Right.
I think that's more problem.
Okay. I'm more comfortable having two problems than yeah. Okay. Now let's skip. So I think everything else in this chapter after that is about the Tefilah, about how you daven b'tzibor. So I don't think he talks about Beis Knesses in the rest of that parak. Next time he picks up is in parak Yod Aleph in Hilchos Tefilah. Okay, and this is the one that's entirely about Beis Knesses. And I don't know if all of this is going to be relevant, but it'll still be good to go through. First halacha. Okay, kol makom sheyesh. Yeah.
I guess the source for the basic thing you're showing me.
For the bris cruza thing?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I was actually looking for it. The bris cruza. Bris cruza, he.
And also the basic.
Yeah, Hayageva Talmud of basic Knesses lobim hirahu mishakeach. So that's a verbatim quote. Amar Rabbi Yochanan Antiaisa. You know, it's funny whenever you see like Tanaim in Yerushalmi, like you've never heard of them before, you know, like who's this Rabbi Yochanan Antiaisa? Bris Cruza he hayagea batamudo. I mean, he's never heard of me either, though. Bris Cruza he hayagea batamudo batzina lo mimhera humashakeh. That's actually different than the Rambam said, right? Oh, then he says matam vestuim chachma. So he quotes the same pasuk. Amar Rabbi Yochanan Bris Cruza he halamed agada mitocha sefer lo mimhera humashakeh. I approve of that one, right? This is a big someone who learns agada from a book. He won't forget quickly. One of my big pet peeves, and I do this all the time also. It's bad, but I can have my own pet peeves with myself, is people quoting Agada Bal Peh, because people often miss little details and it can really screw up the Agada, you know? Is that, that's probably Chaim Zifkin. If it was a, sounded like a rolling piece of luggage. Rabbi Tanchum. Oh, so, okay, this is a bunch of these things. Okay, fine. All right, so that's the Yerushalmi. Where was it? I was looking for it earlier. Okay. All right, 74. Okay. Thank you. Okay, so Kol Malkum Sheish Bo Asaram Yisrael. Any place that has 10 Jews. Sarich Lahachin Bo. Oh, so listen to this weird description here. Okay. So any place that has 10 Jews. Sarich Lahachin Bo Beis. She kansu bo Tefilah, b'chol es Tefilah. Okay. You need to prepare for yourself a house that they enter in for Tefilah at every time of Tefilah. I'm not going to make a big deal about that, but does that phrasing strike you as weird? Lahachim bo bais shi kansu bo litfila b'chol es Tefilah.
I guess the law shows things that it can be a place which you can do other stuff with. You have to have a place that's chavurah for davening, but it doesn't have to be chavurah exclusive for davening.
Oh, that's interesting. I don't see enough strength either way to get other uses out of it. I mean, you're saying because he says litfila, but not to the exclusion of other things. I see what you're saying. That, yeah.
You have to have a house that is prepared for tefillah.
Yeah.
As opposed to if it's a tefillah house, that would have meant that it has to be dafka.
I hear. So I saw something different, and it's almost the opposite. But like to me, what would be the more sensible halachic way to say this is tzarich lachin bo bais lihitz palel sham b'tzibur, you know. But she kansu bo l'tefila b'chol eis tefila is underscoring. I mean, obviously he means that you should daven there, but it's underscoring the fact that it is meant to be a. First of all, he's explaining why Beis HaKnesses, right? Because she kansu bo. Right, but he's also b'chol eis tefila, meaning that this has to be a. In other words, like what I'm trying to say is that this is not just like. Yeah.
Actually, you can't have a place where it's like, you have, well, I guess your mincha thing where it's like you have your mincha, where it's like, say everyone in town works the same, like in the same.
Yeah, that's a good example. Yeah.
Mincha there.
Right.
Tomorrow.
Right. So even though you're getting your minyan, there's an additional. The idea here is to have a house of tefillah that has all tefillos in it going at all times, or not all times, all the zmanei tefillah. You know, it is very much very reminiscent of the description of the Beis HaMikdash of ki beisi beis tefillah yikare l'chol ha'amim. Has to be a base tefillah, which means like that's its identity, not just. In other words, it's an identity, not just a usage. Okay, its identity is tefillah, not just a usage for tefillah. Umalkum zehu anikra Beis HaKnesses. V'kofim b'nei ha'ir ze livnos lahen Beis HaKnesses v'liknos lahen sefer Torah nevi'im uksuvim. Okay, so we compel the people in the city. They compel each other to build a Beis HaKnesses, meaning monetarily, and to buy for it a sefer Tanakh. Okay. Kishabonim Beis HaKnesses. I'm going to go on and stop me if you see something that looks significant for our question, but we are going to try to do Bekius here. Kishabonim Beis HaKnesses ein bonin oso ela bagova shal ir. When we build a Beis HaKnesses, we should only build it in the highest place in the city. I don't know at what point, like, people stopped being makbid about this. Presumably when Jews got into Gullus and like can't just choose like the highest places in the city, you know, which probably was a very long time ago. Yeah, I think so, right? I'm pretty sure. Yeah, so then if it's flat, then you're not gonna have be able to do this. Oh, yeah. Yeah, what was that?
Or maybe just Jews were never mocked on this.
I don't know why you would posit that Jews were never mocked on something that's halacha. I just don't know why you would posit that. My default assumption is Jews keep halacha, and then if we don't do it, then there's a certain point where we stopped. Not that we never were, Shneimar, it's open pasuk in Mishlei. I mean, it's not pshat in Mishlei. Barosh homios tikra, at the top of the populated areas, they call out, which plain pshat here is not height. It's crowded, being crowded.
Yeah, I find that.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean lower elevation. It means the most popular.
I'd be hard pressed to say that. Go pashal ear. Yeah.
It doesn't win halacha.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
why is that bad?
Well, no, I think it matters a whole lot. I mean, you know who does this? Churches, right? Churches have done this since in America, definitely, right? Is building at the top of the hill. It's a prominent location that everyone looks at and can see.
I don't know. In my life, I'm not going to anything that's like that point of the people.
Could be. I mean,
sorry. They also have the spires.
yeah, right. Yeah. Making it very, very tall.
And that's
Right. Oh, is it? Okay. Umagbino so ad shihi gavoa mikol chatzeros ha'ir. Yeah. Right. So you elevate it until it is taller than all the other courtyards of the city. Shneimar. Yeah. Yeah. Right.
I guess maybe you just go to tall skyscraper and just make one room of base canasta.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Bing. Leromim as base alokeno. To see, I feel like that's probably not pshat, even though I don't know the pasuk in Ezra, right? You would think leromim is to exalt, right? The house of our God, not to literally make it taller height-wise. Vein poschin pische beis haknesses ela lemizrach. The doors of the Beis Knesset should only open to the east. Yeah. Shneimar v'hachonim lifnei mishkan kedma. Those who camp before the Mishkan to the east. Ubonim bo heichal shemanichim bo sefer Torah. We still do that one. You build a sanctuary, I guess. Yeah. Right. Well, that's isn't the problem. There's a problem in that base. Yeah. Yeah, you come in from that side. Yeah, that is. Yeah. Right, but is that one of the Bate Midrash? Yeah, wasn't there a base Midrash during the time of the Rav that he didn't daven in it because it wasn't facing Mizrach?
Yeah, no, I guess about that hurt. I've heard House basically when does the start the plans, lay the walls, and they realize they messed up. So they just, I guess for what you're talking about, some quick last minute revisions.
That's funny.
Yeah, I think it might have been that.
This is not Mizrach, right?
This is not.
Is it?
I hope so.
I thought it wasn't Mizrach.
It's not.
Hold on. Do I have a compass? Is it? Isn't. I'm bad with the direction. Hold on. No, see, okay, this is what I thought. East is this way, because I'm pretty sure because in the old YPT, then the Aron was on this side.
What? Which way actually is? Yeah.
So that's south.
Did you have the compass?
So we want Chachma, and when you want Chachma, you dive to the south. Now I don't know if that's why, but I think it's a good shot, right? It's a Gemara. Yeah, as if you want. Yeah, I did. Yeah, if you want Chachma, then you dive into the south, and if you want wealth, you dive into the north.
What about this?
Right?
What was that?
It's like in Brachot, isn't it? Something like that.
Oh yeah, it is. Yeah.
What about this?
It is south.
Yeah,
Yeah, ask.
What?
Well, no, there is a shita that you. I don't know about building it not to the east, but I know there's a shita that you daven in the face of the facing the Aron.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
I think New York is a bit north of Israel. I mean, if you're
right.
If you're in Ukraine, certainly you would say Israel south.
Yeah.
So
then the question's on the old YVT. Why do we dive that way then? Okay, yeah. We gotta ask for Pesach. Yeah. I literally did not remember that until just now. I remember when they first built this, I was wondering why the direction changed,
Well, I would have been passionate about knowing that this is
Well, now you get to learn the halacha. Okay. Anyway,
why would happen in the together?
okay. Ubonin heichal zeh. Oh, sorry. Oh, yeah. Let's see. He says, Ubonin bo heichal sheminichem bo sefer Torah. Ubonin heichal zeh baruch shemispalin kenegda be'osah ha'ir. Kadesh yu pneihem el mul ha'heichal k'shiyamdu b'tefila. Oh, so that is interesting, right? So he's saying you build a heichal in whichever direction they daven in that city. So if you were,
you're supposed to build it whatever you're supposed to do.
yeah, correct. Yeah, yeah. Right. I mean, not the other way around. Yeah, right. 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 So just plain shot, what that means is that if you are north of Eretz Yisrael, then the heichal will go in the south because you daven in the direction of the south. Yeah, correct. Yeah. Okay. Uma amidin bima. You're really disturbed by this. Yeah.
I feel like someone else. I was trying to do it.
Yeah, I know. It's strange. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know. Yeah. Okay. So umamidin bima bebeis haKnesses kadesh yale aleha kore b'Torah umishu omer la'am divrei kibushin. So it's interesting. See, okay, this is why I want to go through this parak, because you get little glimmers of other purposes of the Beis HaKnesses here, right? So you buy Torah, Nevi'im, and Ksuvim for the Beis HaKnesses, which means that it is a place associated with Torah, and not necessarily for Kriyas HaTorah in public, because we don't read all of the Ksuvim in public. Not for all the Ksuvim. You never read Sefer, what do you call it? You never read Mishlei in Shul. You never read Tehillim in Shul. You never read, you never read. Do we ever read? You don't read Nehemiah. You don't read the. You read Shreasar, yeah, you do.
Well, you also, I guess, do Megillah.
Yeah, you read the Megillos, but you don't read the other Ksuvim. You don't read Eov. So my point though is like you see from there. Apparently, there's an idea of and it's part of the Knesset aspect of it, that the Knesset, to the point where they force each other monetarily to buy like the Torah B'Ksav, So it has Torah B'Ksav. Here's this other note that what's the bima for? It's Shiale Allah Hakore B'Torah O Mishu Omer La'am Divrei Kibushin, or so to read from the Torah, or for someone to speak words of like rebuke from. Okay, Kadesh Yishmu Kulan, so everyone can hear. A kibushin is literally like making people submissive, or conquered, literally, but divrei kibushin is like tochacha. Ukshmamidin hateva sheish ba sefer Torah, mamidin osa be'emsa. And when they set up the ark that has a sefer Torah in, they put it in the middle of achore hateva kalifnei ha'heichal ufaneha kalifnei ha'am. And the back of the teva is facing the heichal, and the front is facing the people. So here's a little diagram in mind here, right? So you've got the heichal, then the teva is in front of it, and then the bima is here. And the front of the teva, or I guess the back of the teva, faces the people. Oh, sorry, the front of the teva. I don't know. I wasn't clear to me which point he was saying is front.
What's the heichal?
Heichal is like what we call that big thing. Like that is a heichal, right? Like a giant, like it's like a sanctuary, like a.
Also the teva.
The teva is our bima is our teva, right? I mean, because he says teva that they put the sefer Torah. Well, sheyesh ba sefer Torah. Yeah, I'm not sure actually. Right. So maybe our teva is in the heichal.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's weird. Yeah, well, yeah. The Rav Makbili says hateva sheyesh ba sefer Torah aron niad shesefer Torah nimsa bo derech arai. Oh, okay, I get it. Okay, so we also had this in the old YBT. We had, well, it wasn't really a heichal. We had in the old YBT, there was a closet built into the actual wall that was the vault where the sefer Torah were, and then we had a separate aron in front of the shul, and we would put the sefer Torah in there, and we even put it in there. We put it in there for every tefilah, not just for when we had a kriyas Torah. So that would be a teva, like a temporary. So you know what?
Not in the phone.
No, it's the reason. Well, okay, who knows? But I remember asking, or someone asking Rabbi, why we have to put the sefer Torah in there if it's if we're not reading from it. And he said that it's an idea. There is an idea of being yored lifnei hateva for the shliach tzibur, that he's in front of the teva. Yeah, this I guess it functions in the same way. Yeah, right. But this what Rambam Bekius says for the Aron. But the teva is it's derech arai lahotzio l'kriyas Torah b'oso yom olachar kriya ad shinichuhu b'heichal. Okay, fine. So he says it's for kriyas Torah. Okay, fine. Let's go on in the halachos. Halacha daled. Ketzad ha'am yoshin b'batei haknesios. How do the people sit in the Beis HaKnesses? Hazkenim yoshin ufneim klape ha'am va'acharein klape ha'heichal. Kalifnei ha'heichal. Mine says kalifnei. What does yours say? Oh yeah, fine. Okay, yeah. Oh yeah, kalifnei. Yeah. Why did I read it as klape? In my mind, I had klape. Yeah. So the zakenim sit and they're facing. Their faces are in front of the people and their backs are in front of the heichal. Yeah. So a lot of.
Mine does have klape.
Oh, does? That's funny. Let's bust out the new toy. Okay, hold on. Okay, well, we'll show you the new toy. So this is a good excuse. Yeah. No. We need to look this up. We need to use the tool. The Friedberg. Okay, yeah. I won't. Okay, sure. Yad HaRambam. I was just wondering that, but I didn't want to say.
I don't think there is.
Well, klape means facing, and kilifnei means as if they're in front of, but that doesn't make any sense to me.
The letters are the same, so this is the type of thing which you doubt you would. There's a really possible source for because people simply leave out the kudos.
Well, there's an extra letter. Yeah.
Was today's class designed around being able to use this tool?
No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, no, it wasn't. I didn't know. Why is it not letting me pick the parrot?
Can I see this?
Parrot.
And they had to lift their and they're thinking on front of the I don't know where it works, but I just knew that saying. I think it means the same thing.
Yeah, I'm curious.
Is it necessary? It's not necessary.
All right.
It's not okay.
I'm lost in the wind.
I was gonna make a bad movie reference. Okay. Dalid. Zakanim. Yoshin ufneim klape ha'am. So we have klape ha'am, klape ha'am, klape ha'am, klape ha'am. Bunch of manuscripts missing it. Klape ha'am. Klape ha'am. Klape ha'am. Look at if this is the Oxford one.
Is that left there?
No. Pneim kol pi ha'am.
What? That different.
So okay, I don't.
I'm actually want to see this.
So okay, so again, yeah. So we'll look at the picture. The Oxford one. I don't know if this is the only Oxford one, but the Oxford one is the actual Sefer Hamuga. Wait, what happened? Did I just accidentally click the wrong? Oh, I clicked commentaries by mistake. Hold on. If this is the same Oxford one as people call the Oxford one, this is the one that the Rambam signed off on. Hold on, where did it go? Oxford. Let's look. Why is it not giving me the option to zoom in? Oh, whoa. Okay, hold on. What? I can't control it. Okay. What? It's not letting me. Oh, there we go. Hold on. Hard time controlling this thing. Let's waste time doing this. Hazakanim, here we go. Oh, I had it. This is so torturous. Every time I touch it, okay, maybe I shouldn't touch it. You see it there? Wait, no, you can't see there because it's the wrong thing. Oh, this is so hard to use. Okay, let's isolate it. There we go. There we go. There we go.
Oh,
Got it. Now, can I just zoom in? Cool.
that looks like.
It looks like Klapi. Why do they say Kolpi? Name. Oh, I mean, I guess because it does look like two words.
That's it.
Well, look at this other Kolpi, right?
That looks like
It's-
one to me.
Yeah, I don't know. All right, whatever. But I do want to see what the kafech has
Okay,
though.
so hotly.
Yeah, probably Klape, if
Is
anything.
there a difference now in like?
It doesn't matter whether there's a difference. It matters what the Rambam wrote.
Knowledge is knowledge is thick, dude.
Yeah, we did a whole thing on the Shema. Kafech has Klape. Kafech- Yeah, okay, fine. Now we are enlightened. Okay. All right. Anyway, all right, that was a glorious waste of time. All right.
One thing happening in that room when it's bad episode.
But we never know if it's gonna be necessary until we look. All right. Yoshim shura lifnei shura. Each and every all the rest of the people sit line by line, row by row. I mean, upnei kol shura la'achorei hashura shelafaneha. Ad sheyihu kol pnei kol ha'am klifnei hakodesh uklifnei hazakenim uklifnei pnei hateva. So one thing you're seeing from here, by the way, is there is a hierarchical structure in the shul, and I know this is hierarchical because when the Rambam was talking in Hilchos Deos about where you sit in the congregation, he says you should sit lamata mikol everyone, like from everyone, So like it does sound. I mean, he only sounds like you only have zakanim and then but the assumption is that there's some sort of order of prominence there, and that the people sit in the back, like.
He's also having the canyon like has face away from the Hilchos.
Yeah, that is interesting, right? That the canyon face the people. Yeah.
Are they
That 100%. Yeah, that 100%.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I feel like I've been in a lot of shuls when they're only feel that they face the other way.
There's a teva between the Zakenim and the people, or the teva behind the Zakenim?
Let's see if it's on the diagram. Yeah, see on the diagram, I think the gray part is where the Zakenim sit. And the tape is in front.
Also,
Yeah.
Okay, fine. But I think in all cases,
also you're seeing-
also,
also says
Yeah.
the teva and the
Right.
Emsa. So
Yeah. Well, the teva is in the EMSA, but the bima is going to be, I think, in an EMSA. I think
the point being
The-
the space between the teva and the Hilchos.
yeah. I mean, I'm not exactly sure if that part matters, but what I was going to say about I feel like I have seen a lot of shuls where they have those like thrones, right? Like the Palpatine type thrones that the Zakenim sit in facing the people. You know what I'm talking about? Or is it just Sephardic?
no, they have that in
Yeah, right. It's not just Sephardic, right? It's Ashkenaz also. Right, but the question though is why don't we have like Rebbe and Rav Pesach facing the people?
Yeah, that's really fun.
Yeah, I gotta ask Rav Pesach these questions. Yeah. Okay.
More importantly, you have to know why we're all facing them.
Oh, you know what? In the old YBT, it's funny. In the old YBT, Rebbe's seat faced the same direction as everyone else, but Rabbi Mann's seat faced the people. That's interesting. Yeah, you gotta ask that also. Yeah.
It sounds like the people were not paying enough attention when designing this building.
I don't know. Yeah, that is hard to believe. Yeah. Okay. Where are we now? Did we finish this halacha? Yeah, we did. Okay. So this one is another one that pertains to both. Bate knesus ubate midrashos. Uve'eser shliach tzibor omed l'tefila omed ba'aretz lifnei hateva ufanav lifnei hakodesh kishar ha'am. Hakodesh. Isn't that strange to use the word hakodesh? We're not in the mikdash, right? Yeah, instead of the heichal. He must mean the heichal, right? I mean, yeah, the Rambam Bekius says the heichal. Yeah, that's funny. You know, where did he say? Did he say? I think. I mean, so I want to look at the bima. I think he might mention the bima. Isn't there the thing with the mima amakim karasicha adashem that the bima is like in the low place in the shul? Does that ring a bell? No, it's definitely not in the higher place. Hold on. I'm pretty sure he quotes that pasuk. Oh no, but I'm saying the way it's supposed to be. Mima amakim. No, he doesn't quote it.
I don't know how it's not on the same level.
I thought there's a specific idea, maybe it's not in the Rambam, maybe it was in the Aruch HaShulchan, of that the place where the Shliach Tzibur davens from has to be like from the depths. Yeah.
I thought. Yeah.
Okay, let's go on. Bati Knesses, Bati Midrashos, Nohim Behen Kavod. So we treat them with kavod. Mechabdin osan umarabitzin osan. So we are mechabid them and merabitz them. Now, one of those means to sweep, right? Yeah. So mechabdin is to sweep, I think, and merabitin is to mop, I think. Mazafi mayim l'shakea as evan kishakarka ina meru sefes. Okay, I don't know exactly what that is, but some sort of like floor preparation procedure. V'nagu kol Yisrael bisfarad uv'ma'arav b'shinar be'eretz tzvi. Yeah.
No one always says Mara. Is he referring to? I guess like the west as a whole, as in west of something, or when are you talking about? I guess what I now know is called the Maghreb.
So he says Maghreb. Rambam Bekius says Artos. He says Artos Hama-Aravios B'Tzafon Africa, the lands to the north of Africa, Hamagreb. I don't know what was considered Hamagreb. Where was that? I've just heard the name.
Okay, basically.
Short answer, yeah.
It's like North Africa, west of Egypt.
Okay.
Well,
yeah.
I guess like it's the Gerbil eye. It's like it's Ma'arav. If you say Gerbil, it's Ma'arav.
Right.
So the
short answer. Ubashinar of Eretz Tzvi, and in Iraq, I think it's Shinar, right? And Eretz Tzvi is Israel. Oh yeah. Shinar is Babel. Lahadlik Ashashios Babate Knesios Ulahatsia Bakarka Machatzalaos K'dei Leishav Aleim. So they put out like chandeliers, right? Those are Ashashios. Like lamps, but like candelabras. That's the word I'm looking for. In the Bati Kinesios, and to spread out on the karka, I think machtzalas are like mats to sit upon. Are Edom, and in the lands of Rome, Yoshin Sham al Kisaos, they sit on chairs. Right. That was the thing. Also, is like in mosques and stuff. Right, is sitting on the ground was the common thing, and chairs are. But it definitely helps. You're lower to the ground. Yeah.
I'm saying
or the mats for the Mishtach. Yeah, right. Yeah, it's also true. Right, with chair. Yeah, it's true. You cannot behave in them with frivolity, like joking around and fooling around and idle conversation. And we don't eat in them and we don't drink in them. And we don't so we don't eat in them or drink in them. We don't neosin. Where's neosin? Mishtamshim lahana asam. Use them for pleasure. And we don't metailin, stroll around in them. Okay, this is weird. Like we don't enter into them in the sun because of the sun, or in the rain because of the rain. And Talmid Chachamim and their Talmidim are allowed to eat and drink in them out of midochak in a dire situation.
What is that?
Yeah, I don't know.
How dire?
Yeah, I don't know how dire is dire. If you're starving to death, you're. Yeah, I don't know. What are you gonna say?
What's this room count as well as that?
Well, one thing I know that they did do when they constructed this is they built it all tanai, so we can use it for like parties and stuff. And I know not everyone holds that. That's a thing, but I know that we did that here. No, the entire place.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they built the entire place all tanai. I've heard that you can't do that, but apparently, yeah. But right, yeah.
Oh, like the cinema is also nice. Everything faced the wrong way.
Ah, there you go. Beautiful. It's a good smart. Yeah. Okay. You can't do calculations in them unless they're calculations of mitzvah. Like math, yeah. Yeah.
I can't do math problems.
Well, this one's all tonight. Yeah. For example, like tzedakah or redemption of captives. We don't do eulogies in them unless they are eulogies of the masses. Kagon, for example, like for great chachamim, where the entire people come. Right, for Arts, you would not be able to do. Yeah, I guess unless it's a prominent Arts, right? That everyone's going to come, because he does say that Kagon. He says Kagon for Tamid Chachamim, meaning this is not a din in like Kavod Tamid Chachamim. I mean, it makes sense if it's for the if it's like a. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's then Beis HaKnesses is the place for it. Yeah, I guess Beis Midrash though is not, but okay. Beis HaKnesses or the Beis HaMidrash Shnei Psachim. If there are two doors to the Beis HaKnesses or the Beis Midrash, lo ya. Yeah, right. All these halachos have to do with the Beis Midrash as well.
Yeah.
Lo.
Yeah, no, yeah. I think this does apply to this Midrash, but you couldn't do the rest of there.
Where do you? Because Zion. Well, in Machashim Bahen seems to be Bate Knesius, Bate Midrashos.
And there's no switch to just.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know why he should say it. Yeah. Yeah. I think so. Yeah. Well, wait. What do you mean the switches now? This is still both. He did also on Vav and on Hey and yeah. I think he just doesn't mention again in Zion because it's a continuation thematically of Vav. Okay. Hay lebeis hakneses lebeis midrash shnei psachim. There are two doors. Lo yasenu derech k'dei kanis bepesach zev v'yitil bepesach shekenegdo lekarev haderech. You can't use it as a shortcut, basically. She'asur likanis lahen elad l'dvar mitzvah, because it's usher to go into them except as a mitzvah. Oh yeah. We actually had this problem in Lomdeha last year because we were in the Young Israel of Hewlett, and the parking lot was behind the shul, and we had to go through the shul down to the Lomdeha place where we all learn, and then we had to exit. And I remember Pesach saying that we were allowed to go in because we were going on our way for the Dvar Mitzvah, and I forgot I can't believe I forgot it right. It feels like so long ago that on the way out, did we have to like say a pasuk or something like that? Or it was already covered in the heter because we were. I think it was covered in the heter because we went in for mitzvah. I think he said that like if let's say like you forget something, in your inside and you have to come back in to get it, then you have to like say a pasuk or something like that, to make it not like just for your own personal needs. Misha tzarach likans the Beis HaKnesses. Oh, this is what he says. Misha tzarach likans the Beis HaKnesses likros tinok o lechavero. So if you need to go into the Beis HaKnesses, likros tinok. Well, that either means to read a child or greet a child, and I assume it means greet, but what does that mean? Likros? To call? Yeah, maybe to call, like to visit. But I don't know what Tino. Yikanis v'yikra me'at o yomar shemua v'achach yikra v'chavero. Yeah, he must mean to greet. So you should enter, read a little bit, meaning of Torah, or say a Torah while peh shmua. And then you should greet your friend. Right. So that's the interesting thing, right? It's not right. So what's interesting about this, though, so I understand you can't do something that is frivolous. That would be a pagam in the kavod of Beis Midrash or Beis HaKnesses. There's nothing wrong with using it for your chafatzin, right? It's just that you can't make it exclusively for your chafatzin. There is a distinction I was not aware of. if you don't know something, Yomar le'echa mina tinokos, krali pasuk shata koreh, but I'm saying not to go to Babel because of Shmuel. Then if he doesn't know the pasuk, if he doesn't know, then he should tell one of the kids. So it's interesting. Does this mean that the kids, that the tinokos based Rabban were in shuls? I mean, because the way he talked about it in Perek Sheni was like they would build a tinokos based Rabban as a separate place. No, right. It was just interesting though. So you tell them to read the pasuk. Oh yishem at bebeis hakneses. Oh, this is an interesting one. Oh yishem at bebeis hakneses be'achak yetze. Or you should just sit in the beis hakneses for a little while and then go. Shehayeshiva sham me iske mitzvahi. Because sitting in the beis hakneses is of the iske mitzvah, as it says. Shnemar ashrei yoshvei veisecha. Happy or praiseworthy are those who sit in your house. Isn't that interesting? Yeah.
I guess cleaning the place up also counts.
Cleaning the place up is a part of the kavod, right?
Yeah, I think we often kind of go on like a jillion responsibilities and they'll be like later.
Yeah, it's definitely. I mean, Rabbi, that's why Rabbi Cinnamon is always saying the guy should put away their svarim, not just for other people's learning, but for the like. I really don't like it how I come in on Mondays and like it's just the place is like a mess from from Sunday shiur, from Shabbos. It's a big bizoy. I shove everything on that table. Yeah. Yeah, well, that's the dorm guy's job, whatever dorm guy is in charge of that. So Misha nichnas likros olis palu b'pesach zeh muter lo lates b'pesach sheknegedo k'dei lakarev es haderech. Someone who enters to read or to daven through this door, it's muter for him to leave through the opposite door in order to have a shortcut. Person may enter into the Beis Knesses with his staff, his shoes, and his cloak. And I think the reason why he says that is because you're not allowed to do that, I think, with the harabayis. V'im tzarech larok, if he needs to spit, rokik b'Beis Knesses. You can do it in the Beis Knesses. Remember, back then the floors were dirt and people spit inside. Okay, I just want to really speed through these last couple of halachas really quickly. Bate knesius bate midrash shecharvu b'kedushasan hein omdim. Shuls and bate midrash that are destroyed, they remain in their kedusha. Shnemar v'hashimos es mikdashechem, as it says, I will destroy your mikdashes. Alpha pishein shomamin b'kedushasan hein omdim. Even though they're destroyed, they're still in their kedusha. Ukashem shenogim b'hen b'shuvan kach nogim b'hen b'churbanan. And you just like you conduct yourself in their settledness, you also do it in their destruction. Interesting. Chutz mikivu ribots, except for sweeping and like caring for the floor. Shem mechabdin osan ve'im rabtin. You don't do those on the ruins. Alu behen asavim, if grass grows there, toshin osam umanichin osam b'makoman. You uproot the grass and leave it in their place. Kadeshi yiru osan v'ha'am v'teu rucham v'yishtadlu livnosan, so that people see it and their spirit is aroused, and they are motivated to rebuild it. That's interesting. Ein sosrim beis hakneses k'dei livnos acher b'makoman. You don't knock down a shul to build a new one in its place. Or in another place, you build another one and then you break this one down. Maybe one will get broken down and they won't rebuild it. Maybe something bad will happen to this one that they're rebuilding. Yeah. Even walls you have to do this with. But that's only if the foundations are not destroyed. But if the foundations are messed up or if the walls are leaning over, then you destroy it immediately. And you start to rebuild it within 24 hours. Maybe the time will be delayed and it'll get delayed. It'll remain desolate. All right, now we read this one yesterday, and then this last v'chinim gavu. Okay, let's.
Wait, what?
I think actually this is this is it for now.
Okay.
Yeah. Yudalid we read yesterday or the day before. Mutter lasos. It does. That's the basis of it, right? Mutter lasos beis hakneses beis hamidrash. You can make a shul into a beis midrash. Well, beis hamidrash ein osin also beis hakneses. Kedusha beis hamidrash yisera al kedusha beis hakneses. Kedusha of beis midrash is higher than the kedusha of the beis hakneses, which is what he said earlier. Umalin b'kodesh v'lo moridin, and we only go up in kedusha. No, chachamim daven in the beis midrash. Yeah, right. Because the kedusha is higher. and it's the place where they learn.
Yeah, so they're concerned about it. They usually hire measures, want to make it into like that.
You're not making it into no. He means literally to make it into a basic Knesset, not to dominate it. Like to make it a shul. Yeah, yeah. Okay. Well, good question about what the status is if it's both. I have to go because I have to tutor. But all right, so let's hope that this gives some light. Tomorrow will be the last day that we'll intend to spend on that first Bris Crusoe thing. I think this is worth going through anyway. We definitely got a lot of questions about our own basic Knesset. All right, see you, Shimon.